Hey, what's up, guys? It's Esquire Codex. I'm in Minecraft, and I want to play a good bit of Minecraft. I just started a new world. It's on hardcore mode, so essentially, I die, my realm, my whole world dies. So we'll just go for as long as I can live, I guess. Hopefully, I can survive long. This is the Minecraft 1.81, and I actually haven't played Minecraft in a while. I used to play it a lot, but recently I just haven't played it in a while. So this is my first time playing with 1.8. So I'm going to be discovering a lot of new stuff, like this pretty white flower. Oh, that is nice. Never seen an azure bluet before. So you along with me will be discovering many new things in the world of Minecraft. But I just want this to be a world where we go on a bit of a journey, and I'll still talk about things I talk about, about books. Just we'll create our own little place to live while we're at it. Now, the book I really want to talk about this time is a book I'm halfway through. It's called Detesting and Degrading Schools. That's detesting and degrading with a hyphen after the D, not, the verb form of detesting or degrading. This book is pretty interesting. It is a collection of articles by different educators, and essentially they're all giving alternatives to giving grades to students or straight up tests as assessments. I just finished the first half of the book, and a lot of that was talking about how you have to, or kind of the evils of standardized testing that No Child Left Behind has brought on, and all the standardized testing. And there's a lot of articles about that in the first half of the book. So that was the D testing part of it. And it was pretty interesting. A lot of the articles, you can tell people feel very strongly about their writing, and it would feel very biased. I'd like to have comparison articles so that I read that one viewpoint, then read the other viewpoint, because sometimes it seems like they're construing facts or really only presenting one side of the argument. However, it is a bit refreshing to read a book or read something where someone feels strongly about it. That is always refreshing. So anyways, a large part of it was how standardized testing is it's been bad for teachers in education because it forces teaching to the test. And what that creates is an environment where teachers are, well, they're teaching the test, and they're only teaching the things that they know will be on the standardized tests, because they know they need to get their students to pass that test in order for them to get good marks as teachers, so that they aren't fired, so that their schools get funding. So really, they're only the largest. Basically, what it comes down to is the largest reason for their teaching the material is so that they can get good marks, and their students can get good marks and do well in a test, which is good and all, but it leads to a dilemma of extrinsic learning versus intrinsic learning. And when you have standardized tests, and when you're teaching just for that, you're going to find students are learning only for extrinsic, there we go, reasons. They only want that good score on the test. Grades as a whole, in a sense, leads to extrinsic learning because they just want good grades. And so that narrows the curriculum that teachers teach. They aren't willing to take time to cover material in a unique way, in a way that, might take activities that, take more time, take a whole class period to do, and it may cover a small amount of material versus just lecturing on that and assigning homework. And they're not willing to do those extra long assignments because it will lead to not covering the material on the test, and therefore students will not get good marks on the standardized test. And so basically the overall education is not as robust as it could be. And now that, there are teachers who do very well with teaching to the standardized test and still giving a robust education, but I feel for the most part that's not the case. And so basically I side with this book for the most part, in that something needs to be done about the standardized test, because learning needs to be intrinsic. It needs to be, students should be motivated by the desire to learn, not get good grades or something. When schools were first invented, or the concept thought up, it was, in ancient Greece, and school means a place of leisure. Now that is not at all what any current student would say of school, that it's a place of leisure. A place of leisure in terms of friends, sure, and hanging out, with your friends, but the actual school, the education part of it, no. Not at all. Hardly anyone enjoys going to school, and I think that's because everything so revolves around getting good grades, and you're constantly under stress to get those good grades. It's never just about the love of learning. Oh, sweet mama. Is that a mushroom? Oh, yeah. Okay, that's cool. Oh, you just destroy it. Alright, nice. Students in school, it's never about learning, it's about getting a good grade. And, that shouldn't be. Learning can be amazing. You're learning new stuff you had never thought of, never known, and all of a sudden you know it. It's like you're becoming a better person. And that is pretty marvelous. But through the years of schooling, we've pretty much had that idea pushed out of us because we're constantly wanting to do, in a sense, the bare minimum to get by with a good grade, because we've got all these classes that we've got to do, and we don't got the time to really. We've got all these classes and all this subject material to cover, and we don't have time to spend just on one subject really getting in nitty and gritty with it. And that's because there's so much to cover. There's so much to cover to do well on the standardized test. And as a teacher, you certainly should wish to cover as much as you can with your students, because, you don't want to give them a narrow education where they only know a few things very well. You do want them to get a broad education, but even more than what you teach them, you need to teach them a love for learning as a basic thing. I think it's time to go underground for this night so I don't die. Oh shoot, I have to worry about food too. I usually play on peaceful, so I haven't thought about food. Good thing we get mutton now. And alright, so you need to teach the intrinsic love of learning. And that's tough to do when you focus on grades. Oh, neato. So this book has been pretty enlightening, and I look forward to seeing what they have for alternatives of grading, because I'm a math education major, so I'm going to be a high school teacher, and I'm pretty interested in running a classroom where grades are not a part, or at least a minimum part, of what we learn. I want to be able to teach my students learning skills and a desire to learn, not necessarily simply just to learn, because they're in school for 12 years of their life in the beginning, maybe more with college, but after that, they've got 70 more years to learn, and they should have a level of learning to expand. They're not going to always just have the knowledge. I guess what I'm trying to say is they get 10 years of knowledge to cover the next 70 years, but I want them to have 10 years of learning to learn so that they can apply that in the final 70 years of their life. All right, let me build a few torches so you guys can actually see what's going down in this diggity dog hole. And then the last thing I'll talk about is I just want to, in one of the articles by Alfie Kohn, who is a prominent educator about about not using grades in the classroom. And so he has an article, and he labels my lights, my crafting table, about 3 things that grades tend to cause students to do negatively. So I'm just going to read those quick. He said grades tend to diminish students' interest in whatever they're learning. Grades create a preference for the easiest possible task. That's what I was saying before about the bare minimum. They want to get an A, and they're likely not to take a risk on their homework or on a project if it is harder, or more likely to get a low grade, because they don't care to learn more, they care to get a better grade. And then finally, his third point is grades tend to reduce the quality of students' thinking. He gives an example. They may skim books for what they'll need to know and not, everything else. Basically skimming for the keywords that they know will be on the test, because that's what on the test, that's all they need to know. They don't want to learn about the other things because it's not on the test, so why learn it? And that's where extrinsic learning can be a real problem, because there you see, that's what I do all the time. Is if I have a textbook I have to read, I skim it. I look for the bolded words, and that's what I remember, because that's the important thing to remember. But there's so much ancillary knowledge in those books and so many interesting things that I should have a desire to learn beyond the bold words. And when you are given an intrinsic desire to learn, you will have a greater desire to delve deeper into books. And so those are 3 things that Alfie Kohn points out as a negative effects of grades. I'm really enjoying this book. A lot of interesting stuff, and I don't know, it's not exactly our typical book discussion, but I'll probably, in another video after I've read more, probably talk. I just made a circle. Who would have thunk? And I'll probably talk more about it after I finish the grading part, because the second half of the book is about degrading. Again, the book is called Detesting and Degrading Schools. It's a collection of articles, pretty good stuff. So I'm going to keep reading and probably talk a little bit more about it, because I find it very interesting, and it's something I hope to apply later, in my actual profession. So what are your thoughts on standardized tests? And I guess here I'm talking about in the American education system that have come about from No Child Left Behind Act. What are your thoughts on the standardized tests? And then can you see a classroom without grades? Would you be motivated to learn without grades? And see, that's a thing. It's like, how do you motivate students then? And I hope to get some good ideas from this book, so maybe I'll be able to answer that. But if you have good ideas, I'd love to hear. And anyways, that's some Minecraft, and we'll stop. Come back and maybe build some actual buildings next time. Get some nice wood instead of just wandering in this cave forever and ever. Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. Esquire Codex out.